and that there's a difference between your thoughts and your beliefs. I think that people don't understand that. And
What is that? Can you explain that further?
yeah, so like yesterday, I was sitting with a friend of mine, and he thinks he's done with his divorce. Like he thinks in his
Uh-huh.
conscious mind, I moved on. But
Yeah.
in his life, anything but moving on is showing up. So I was trying to help him realize that his beliefs are different than his thoughts. So if you
Mm.
think of the iceberg image that's often used to put this point, like below surface, like Piscean, like in the water, that's where
Mhm.
all your beliefs are. And they can be very, very, very negative, limiting, conflicting, self-hating, scarcity, fear, whatever.
Mhm.
But our thoughts on top of that we're consciously choosing to think, they might be very positive or very
Mm.
much like knowing the truth.
Yeah.
And thoughts and beliefs can very much be totally pulling in opposite directions. So the hardest thing in my work is to help people understand you have to be open and curious. What you think and what you believe may be two very different things.
Welcome to the weekly transit. Interviews and conversations from an astrological lens. There's nothing more fascinating to me about this earth than the people who inhabit it. My mission is to create deep, vulnerable, and open conversations that invite our unique guests to share the arc of their ever-evolving journey through life, in the hope that their stories inspire and resonate with you, our listeners. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the weekly transit. I am here with my guest today, Elli Richter. Did I say your last name correctly?
Good.
Or is
Yes,
it
very
Elli Richter? Okay,
good.
cool.
Yeah.
Elli Richter. Yeah, so Elli is someone that just came across my Instagram feed because I saw Elli, I saw you doing a post with someone I know from like the medicine circles, Frankie. And so I was like, wow, Elli looks interesting. I want to talk to her. I wonder if she wants to share her story with me. And so you were gracious enough to agree to come on the podcast. So Elli is a subconscious wizard and founder of Subconscious and Somatic Integration. So thank you for being here, Elli. Welcome to the show. How are
Thank
you?
you so much. I'm
Yeah.
so excited when I got your message. I freaked out. I love this so much. So I'm excited to be here.
Okay, cool. Amazing. Well, Ellie is a triple extrovert in the primal triad. She's a fifth house Leo sun, like super powerful energy. The sun rules the fifth house, it rules Leo. So super, you just emanate. I can just already tell you just like emanate this power. Born during a full moon, 11th house, Aquarius Moon, and an Aries Rising. So, and the subconscious wizard, that immediately jumped out to me. I'm like, okay, subconscious wizard. What makes Ellie a subconscious wizard? And then it just like jumped out at me. I was like, oh, of course, like Neptune. You were born with Neptune sextile the moon. And Neptune is the planet of the unconscious, and the moon's the planet of emotions. So totally makes sense.
I'm glad
Yeah.
it does. It would
How did
suck if
you?
it.
Yeah. Yeah, when did you find out that you became when did you find out that like, yeah, I'm a subconscious wizard? When did that happen for you?
I love that you asked that. I think my soul has always known, but it popped out really um, 6 years ago, maybe, when I
Oh,
really got
wow.
into subconscious work. I've been helping myself and others making the unconscious conscious my whole life. But
Mhm.
the actual realizing that that's where my purpose lies and that's where I need to be. That was 6 years ago when I was kind of at a very or 7 years now, at a point in my life where the tools that I had available, they were not going deep enough for me and making the changes in my programming that I wanted. And then when I came across the tool that I'm using now, and was able to make the changes in my subconscious, I'm like, yes, that's
Mm.
where I need to be. That's it. And so I guess on a whim, I called myself a subconscious wizard.
I love it.
You know?
What
Yeah.
is that tool that you discovered?
Psych-K, it's called.
What's it
PS
called?
Psych-K.
Psych-K. Okay. What
Psych-K.
is this?
PSYCH/K stands for mind keys. And
Okay.
it's, as far as I know, the fastest and most effective method right now to make positive changes to your subconscious in an empowering way without plant medicine or without having to go into an altered state. So I really love it. Being German, it's very effective. And that's where I needed to make the changes in my life the most. And so that's where I feel my calling at this moment. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Hmm. What does that have to do with being German?
We Germans, we like efficiency. So
Hmm.
I go on hunts to find the most efficient way for something if I'm passionate about it. So if
Mm-hmm.
there's something I'm passionate about, I go on a hunt to find the best of the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And or the most efficient or most empowering way to do something. So I like to make very complicated things simple.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love that. So where does Psych-K come from?
It came as a download to a man that recently passed away in about 34, 35 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And he was in corporate America, and then he became, I believe, a psychotherapist or therapist, was helping people. And in a moment of frustration, the creator just downloaded it to him,
Uh-huh.
and the processes have been kept by him and a community of teachers in a very sacred internal integrity way and passed down. Everybody and anybody can learn it. You don't have to be in the field to learn it. Super empowering. And my Aquarius Moon really loves that too because of the empowering thing. You know, it's just so clean, so empowering. There's no guru, there's no therapist, there's no pathologizing of the human experience. It's you take this tool and you empower yourself. And I really love that, you know.
And are you helping other people learn how to use this tool? Is that what you're doing?
I facilitate the tool. So I've been in some way, shape, or form coaching or in the business of helping others since I'm 19.
Hmm.
And it's been an evolution of different college degrees and different things, but I've always kind of done my own thing, being me. Like if you look at my chart of my human design, I'm very much like I create my own thing. And so I've used the tools and the degrees that I have to help people in an effective way really leverage their human experience, heal, and
Hmm.
then really discover their gifts and share them with others in a way that creates win-wins in this life.
Hmm.
So as I was using holistic life coaching and neuroscience and stuff like that to help people, you know, get there, I was finding that it's a lot about the subconscious and being able to make positive changes there. And then of course a lot of like somatic change, being able to be in your body, feel your feelings, and even understand what the F you're feeling inside of your meat suit. So I click that
Hmm.
together and help people. So I facilitate it and I help people to really to leverage that. Some people go on and learn the method for themselves. They might even end up doing what I'm doing, but ultimately I facilitate the process. So if you
Hmm.
are stuck somewhere or you're in a trauma or it's showing up in your finances or your health or your relationships, then you can come to this work and free yourself.
Hmm. Wow. Well, I want to hear all about how you do that. I also want to, before we go there, I want to like take me back to you said you started helping people when you were 19. What was that about?
Um, well, it goes way back. So my soul, I guess, chose to come here to help people, but first to help myself, you know, so I had to
Mhm.
gather some stuff to help myself with. When I was 19, I was pretty sick from childhood trauma. So my body had already shown up with trauma responses. My childhood was pretty difficult, or my experience of my childhood was difficult. So that by the time I was 19, I felt sick. I had an underactive thyroid, lots of like body aches and anxiety and whatever you might call it, eating disorders. So I remember being on vacation with my mom and reading a book that's similar to The Body Keeps Score. I don't know if you
What
heard
is
of
it?
this book.
No, I do
The
not
Body
know that
Keeps
book.
Score is kind of like a Bible for people that work with trauma and somatics. It's basically this idea that everything that happens for us doesn't just get stored in our minds as a memory, but also that the mind and the body is connected. So therefore, the body keeps the score of these memories.
Mm-hmm.
And reading this book, it's kind of a metaphysical book. It made me realize that my health issues weren't physical; they were emotional. They were spiritual, emotional. So I had an awakening at 19. I was like, I want to heal myself and help others. So I started to get trained in exercise and physical stuff and thought that I could start helping people that way. And then I became a physical therapist because I lived in Germany, and in Germany, the mindset or the model of reality is very much still academics. You
Mm-hmm.
go to school, you learn something that's already existing, and then you do it. So the closest to what I wanted to do was physical therapy. And I got trained in that. And once I graduated, I met my ex-husband, and he was American. So whoop,
Mm-hmm.
I just started a new destiny.
Mm.
I just kind of like did it. In 2 weeks, I immigrated to America. And before you know it, my college degree was transferred and I had to start over again. But I knew since reading that book and also early experiences in my life that I wanted to help people. So I guess to answer your long question, I just kind of felt that call already then. And I
Yeah.
knew it's beyond the meat suit, that disease isn't just physical, and
Mm-hmm.
that our relationship issues aren't just psychological, that it's all just one thing. And I wanted to get to basically what keys do I need to gather to unlock our potential. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
mean potential and how much can we do in this lifetime, but how much can we be ourselves fully and experience life fully? How alive can we get in this? You know?
Mm-hmm. I there's a book that I reference all the time called "Heal Your Body" by Louise Hay. Are you familiar with
Yes.
that? Yeah. So
Can I tell
that's
you a funny story about Louise Hay?
yeah. Tell me.
Well, okay, so totally with you. Louise Hay was one of my first, like,
Uh
like
huh.
20 years ago when I got into this. She was one of the first women that taught us that your beliefs create your reality. She's such a
Mm-hmm.
badass. I was such a
Yeah.
fan. I read and inhaled all of her books, tried to heal myself with it, used all her work. So then a couple of years ago, I started moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. Yeah, I had
Uh
a
huh.
huge call to change locations. And I said to myself, I'm going to live nomadic until I find a place where it feels right, just literally feels right, where the
Mm-hmm.
relationships feel right. So I come here to Encinitas, California,
Yeah.
and I'm not quite sure if I want to move here or not. Financially, it was like a big leap, whatever. And so I was invited to a party, and I sit next to a person that was the massage therapist for Louise Hay.
Oh my goodness!
Right. And so
Wow.
now the
Yeah.
other day I met her doctor, and I'm like, I'm just hanging out with the people that touched Louise Hay, and I'm just in the exact right place where I need to be. So
Oh
I get
man.
like such a kick out of this, how small the world is once you are vibrating on these. I don't know. It's just so cool to me. And I love her, and I'm so glad you're referencing this book. But that's
Yeah.
basically the work that I do in a nutshell. And I help people to do that not just through repetition, but through actual reprogramming of their subconscious. It's a little
Yes.
faster.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. No, this is right in tune with I'm so interested in this because I always feel like yeah, I mean what's going on with like you and when I look at somebody's chart and I will see where the planets are and I'm like okay, well this is happening and this is what it means and either they are getting the message like through their life like the signs I tell people all the time the signs are always there. The question is do you
Are
see
you
them,
listening?
do you recognize them? And and so if you do then you can get the lesson pretty easily, but if you don't then it starts to manifest in the body and that's when physical issues come about because it's just the universe's way of saying hey you need to switch things up here the way that you're operating, right? Isn't that
Totally. I couldn't agree
yeah,
more. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
okay.
we're in this super cool when, the age of Aquarius, I never really understood what does this even mean? What does this mean to me? And to me now I'm realizing it is really actually a descension into the body and understanding that our body is the divinely intelligent technology, and that it's already communicating all the time. And we have aches and pains. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't even mean the universe punishing you or whatever. It's just kind of like, here is your path, and your meat suit and your senses and your spidey senses are just going to guide you if you are willing to listen. And I guess
Exactly.
the listening part is the hard part. And that if there's unresolved trauma or stress or negative or conflicting beliefs, most people are so tense. Sometimes I joke that I pull the stick out of people's butts, because that's really where the tension accumulates, and
Yes,
you're
totally.
right there.
The
So you can
sphincter.
relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. If you can
Yes.
relax right there,
Yeah.
you won't be as reactive.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I literally had a doctor yesterday tell me that pain is information. That's what it is.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
information. Doesn't mean it's something bad. It's information. And so,
Exactly.
I think about like, I always tell people pay attention to the tension,
Yes.
because that
Yes.
is what you need to focus on to release that tension.
I
So,
couldn't agree more.
you met an American guy in Germany, and then
Yes.
you like within a matter of weeks you were moving to the U.S. Like you moved that quickly? Like what
I
happened there?
mean, semi-impulsive. Let's also say this was before my frontal lobe was formed, and I was severely traumatized. And I don't regret a
Oh,
thing. He was like
yeah.
one of the loves of my life. So I
Mm,
met him in 2002, and he was an athlete, and I was working as a physical therapist.
uh-huh.
And when he came back to the States, his athletic contract wasn't renewed. So we were either going to break up or something were
Uh-huh.
going to happen. So I
Yeah.
decided on a whim that I needed to know. I needed to know what this love was. So I
Yeah.
just bought a one-way ticket and went to America.
Yeah. Wow. And where
Yeah.
you were living on the East Coast, you
I
said?
was living on the East Coast. He was from Buffalo, New York. So we lived in Buffalo for 2 winters, and then we moved to Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent
Little
a long
long.
time.
You spent a long time there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were born with, you mentioned like the trauma that you experienced and like Chiron. You were born with Chiron in the first house, squaring your sun, and forming a trine with your Mercury and opposing your Uranus in Scorpio in the seventh house. So it's like you have this wound to your self worth, your sense of authenticity, your identity, your mental processing,
Yep.
your heart. But you have ancient wisdom in these areas as well. It also has to do with your relationship to authority, or the father figure, and then Mars is aligning with your sun, which makes you very courageous. That's kind of that impulsive. Of course, the Aries rising as well brings that impulsivity, but how does any of that resonate with you?
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. I wake up every morning, it punches me in the face. I have to really
Mm.
like not have to. I choose to every morning transform my reactivity to that. But I feel that especially now that I'm really in my body and present, I have that experience every day kind of between that.
Mm. So you're very consciously aware of how the trauma has impacted you from body to soul.
I'm mostly consciously aware that these tendencies are inside of me,
Uh
like
huh.
these, it doesn't make sense to the outside eye, it doesn't make sense on paper that there's such
Totally.
wounding going on or that my relationships fuck me up sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm carrying the childhood trauma in the sense that it's coloring my lenses in a negative way anymore. That's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do. I've been able to help myself. And now I just feel like the energetic, these energies, I do feel them inside of me.
Yeah.
People always meet me and they can't figure out my aura. So they always assume things about me that I'm this, that, or the other. And I'm like,
What do
well,
they
inside
assume?
of me, it feels a little different.
Yeah, because they see you and they're like, "Oh my god, what a bright shining light. Just you're so energetic, like you're just amazing,
Yeah.
because you're the Leo queen, the 5th house sun, Aries rising, you're super confident and courageous. There's no way that you could have gone through anything like that. That doesn't make any sense,
Yeah, and
right?
just like inside, I don't necessarily. I feel that, but I also don't feel that like that's not my main frequency. I feel pretty humble inside of myself, pretty
Mm.
relaxed, pretty, and I'm aware that people make these assumptions. That's why I often inform. I'm actually, when you said triple extrovert, I'm like, wait, I never heard that before. I perceive myself
Mm.
as severely introverted, and
Mm. Mhm.
um, I have major insecurities, and
Mhm.
I usually feel pretty awkward. I'm sober, so moving around or alcohol free, moving around the
Mhm.
world, alcohol free in most situations, there is awkwardness, you know. So I try to lead
Exactly.
with that. Yeah, but my experience inside of me is a little bit different. But I would say that's probably everyone's experience.
Yes.
I Yeah, but it's a little bit funny. And before I learned about my energetics, that was very difficult for me because people made up stories about me that I didn't really feel to be true. So, you know,
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's the thing about the rising sign in Aries. Like the rising sign, we're not really like we don't really experience our own rising sign unless like I don't know, there is it's more of an outward experience the way that others experience you. You know, I can articulate it to people in a way where they're like, okay, that does make sense, but typically like on the surface, you know, it doesn't always resonate. So,
yeah,
but Aries rising, it's like, yeah, you come across as somebody who's very direct, very authentic and courageous, and like nothing. It's like, hey, what's up? You know, you're just engaged, and so people see that as okay. There's nothing else going on. You know, she's obviously super confident, and yeah, but there's so much
yeah.
more going on beneath the surface.
Well, the wounds. It's interesting, you know. Like I always believe that the wounds are the portals to the gifts, and
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
it's really true. And now I'm just kind of like, this is just my portals, and sometimes they hurt, you know, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they feel fucking awesome. So it's just like
Mm.
depending on the day and what's going on, um, how that feels. But it's
Yes.
interesting. It's very interesting. And the Chiron, the wounded healer, I felt that way a lot of my journey and a lot of my professional career. I felt like that wounded healer, and I didn't like it. And now I don't feel that way anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
that feels good.
Hmm. So you moved to the US. You were living with your husband at the time. What were you doing for work then? You were still doing physical training or
Oh, so it's been, the red thread has always been about helping people with this stuff. You know, particularly
okay.
just helping people leverage their human experience and live life fully as they want to. And the tools that I use to do that, they have evolved. So at the
Uh-huh.
time when I was married, I was working as a health, fitness, and nutrition bunny. I was coaching people with the behaviors, just pattern,
Mhm.
try to help them healthy lifestyle type stuff. There's a period of time where I was super into conscious work, super into, I don't know if you're familiar with Mankind Project and the Woman Within type stuff.
No.
Course in Miracles work, that kind of work.
Okay.
Um,
Tell me
so
more about that. Yeah.
just mainly conscious work, you know, making the
Uh-huh.
unconscious conscious, looking at patterns, looking shadow work, just a lot of shadow work. I just so much shadow work. Wow, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and during that time, I was mostly working as a coach, like a lifestyle coach, and I started to do then spiritual coaching, holistic life coaching, and then my marriage fell apart. Like boom, you know, one day, boom.
When
Um,
did that happen? What year was that?
that was
Mm,
2013.
2013.
And yeah, 2013, my life as I knew it completely fell apart.
Just kind of
It was one
unexpectedly or
unexpectedly. So it basically, like, the my biggest fear has always been betrayal, being cheated on, being left. Betrayal is a
Mhm.
theme for me. Um, Astrological, whatever you can. So in
Yeah.
that moment, what transpired is that basically that my worst fear had manifested, and not just once but over many 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 years. So the reality as I had understood it, his love, our relationship, the commitment, wasn't actually the way that I thought it was. So for me, I had built my identity, my safety on that relationship. So the universe was like, nope, you need to learn to be home in your own body and your own self. So I was ready enough, I guess, then for that to like be taken away. And that was extremely painful. Oh my gosh. And
So in
then my
2013, like you found out that your husband was unfaithful to you.
yes,
Is that
yes.
what happened? And
Yeah, so look,
he'd been unfaithful to you multiple times, multiple women.
multiple women, many years, 80% of our marriage. And I hesitate
Wow.
sharing this because I feel at peace with it and in
Yeah,
gratitude. And I also want him
absolutely.
to be able to move forward. So to me,
Totally.
that was as painful as it was one of the bigger, greater portals in my life.
Tell me,
Uh,
how did you transmute that energy from like, because people think like, oh, my husband cheated on me, he was unfaithful to me, like he's a horrible person, and I did something wrong, and how did you transmute those sort of stereotypical feelings that people associate with infidelity to something positive?
I mean, I probably, for the first time in my life, really let myself feel. I felt, for 2 years, I just let myself feel. And
And
I
what
had
was
done
that?
enough. That means that I didn't stop anything. I didn't try to run away from my feelings. I remember
Mm,
just living, going about my day, coaching, and if a wave hit me, I would just stop and cry. If I was at an
mm,
exercise class, there was a song, I got sad, I would just go in the bathroom and cry it out and come back. And I knew when he told me that there was two things that happened. One is I left my body, I got super disassociated, but the other
mhm,
thing is I realized there was nothing wrong with me because for the last 10 years I couldn't feel my intuition. I like when it came to other people, yes, but to my own life, I couldn't feel shit. Anytime I tried to visualize my future with my husband, manifest anything, it was just gray.
mm,
I couldn't trust myself. So besides me disassociating, the other voice that came in is there's nothing wrong with you. There's
mm.
nothing wrong with you. And look, we got married when I was 23. Now I know my frontal lobe wasn't formed. We were trauma bonding. None of us knew who we were. And by the time
Yes.
this all happened, I was 37. I had already led thousands of people through coaching sessions. I understood that it had nothing to do with me, that it doesn't mean that it's about my self worth or how sexy I am or this or that. It had all to do with both our wounding. And there was
Mm,
also a part of me that wasn't showing up in a way that he needed. So it, I didn't know all this at the time, but my higher self completely took over. And I just went through a portal and I also didn't hire a therapist. I wasn't working with a coach. I got sober and I just felt my feelings. Sober by,
mm,
I mean, like sober mentally, emotionally. I just felt my feelings, and I saw it. I had seen other people going through this and become very bitter and
mhm,
become blocked. And one of the beautiful things about doing what I'm doing, I get to talk to people just like you and hear their stories and learn through that and learn, oh man, I want to be more like that, or I don't want to be like that. So I guess I pieced it together for myself based on many, many stories that I carried in my heart of how I wanted to do this. Then I had
mm,
Louise's Hayes books, I had
mhm,
all my great teachers, and I just meditated a shit ton and I just did the work um, for a while. And then I
mhm.
started dating. And then it's like, and then it went all to shits. But
Yeah,
before that,
that's
yeah,
another layer, right? Because then everything that you experienced in your marriage, those fears are being brought back up in a sense. Is that what's
oh, yeah.
happening? Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I didn't know much, getting married with 23 also means I didn't ever really date.
Uh-huh.
I never dated from a place of loving myself and being
Yes.
whole. I dated from a place of trauma and neediness and seeking validation. And yeah. And so I spent really the last 10 years since I got divorced dating and getting to know myself and loving myself and
Uh-huh.
exploring what other people normally do in their 20s.
Mm,
And, yeah, I think there's so much to the journey and still is. Um, and I still have so much insecurities in this department. I wish I could say, no, I actually don't. It just is. It just is. I have insecurities in this department. My Leo fucking self just really wants like
mhm.
give me all the attention. I used to be so ashamed of this. And now I'm like, nope,
Oh,
actually, that's what I really want. And that's
yeah.
what I really need. And that's
Yes.
what so yeah, it's been a trip.
Hmm.
And I guess relationships has been really the hardest and most profound and most beautiful thing in my life. Whereas career, I feel super solid. I feel so
Uh-huh.
solid what I'm doing and what I came here for and like all that.
Yeah.
Relationships is my portal.
Hmm. That makes sense. Are you
Oh,
familiar with your North Node?
yes, my Libra North Node. Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Seventh house Libra North Node. It's like double relationship lessons, and
Yes.
it's directly opposite your ascendant. So, everybody I know, everyone I've ever done a reading for that was born with the seventh house North Node or the North Node in Libra, none of them have an easy time in relationships. So that's why, like you said, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. Like, you're not meant to come to earth and just like, oh, relationships are so easy.
Hmm.
It's like that's just not how it works for
Yeah.
a North Node in Libra or in the first house, seventh house, or Aries. Like, that's like the relationship axis, because Aries is relationship with self, Libra's relationship with someone else. So, you're learning how to negotiate and how to be a diplomat and really advocate for yourself, while at the same time being clear about what the other person wants from you, from a relationship, what they're willing to give in return, and to see if you can create a win-win situation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why, I love that you said that you love that Leo Queen. And it's like, so you want the attention, and that's okay to say that, because there is somebody out there who's going to be like, yes, like, I want to give you all the attention, and
Right
that's
on.
what you deserve.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Hmm.
there's a shadow side to that, the seeking validation. Um, that's definitely coming from that insecure aspects of self-worth. And I have to really
Hmm.
keep an eye on that. So, yeah.
Well,
To not,
exactly, but it's nuanced. You don't want to. Yes, if you're doing it to seek validation, that's one thing. But the queen isn't, a benevolent queen isn't doing anything to seek validation.
sure.
At the same time, there's also an expectation of validation. Like, if you're not treating me with the respect that I deserve, then I'm not going to give you my time and attention and energy. So that means that you do need to be regaled and appreciated in a way that feels respectful to you and the beauty of your heart.
Thank you. I think that
Yeah.
it comes and came down to being able to receive. And I
Mm,
think that is a difficult thing for most Leo women. The giving is so easy. I love loving unconditionally and
mm,
fully. And like, oh man, when I'm really in my generous Leo energy, it's so fun. And that can, of course, lead to codependent patterns in love and
mhm,
relationships. So learning about codependency and, the win-win and self-care, that's my whole life. So now I
mhm.
do self-care. I teach others to do that. So all these challenges that I'm experiencing, they have turned into these lessons I can help others with. It's been really fun, but the learning to receive is really the primary thing that I was not very good at, the receiving part.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I think the fire that I have, the Aries always just charging ahead and just going courageously into, it requires a certain amount of giving and doing and going forward. And so that's easy for me. So then the surrendering, the waiting, the patience, the not controlling, not taking charge, that's a little bit more difficult energetically.
Mm,
So although it feels really good. So I had to learn that. I had to teach myself that. Also, with the trauma that I experienced, receiving is not even like something I think about. It's just mostly
mhm.
like keep me safe, like just like
Yeah.
and keep people out, not trusting.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was something I had to learn.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people suck at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that with that Taurus, Chiron and Taurus, it can be hard. Like your self worth is challenged there. At the same time, like, the Aries rising and the Leo fifth house Leo sun, I mean, you are a beacon of love. And because you have such powerful, strong love energy, people are attracted to you because who doesn't want to be around love, they like somebody who's emanating that love. But do you think that people have maybe tried to take more from you than give? And or is it because they want to give but you're pushing them away? What is it, one or the other, or is it?
Only speak for me. It's the way I show up, right? So I either show up like, let me just do it all, or
Mhm.
I'd show up like, I don't need you type thing. So I had to learn
Mm.
to show up like in the win-win energy, in the
Mhm.
just see how I can be of service here without pushing or pulling, so
Mm.
I had to learn it. I don't know what people's intentions are with me, but I had to learn to not position myself as the one that can take care of everybody, or the
Mhm.
one on the other side that doesn't need anyone, so I had to learn to be more open in the middle.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. You were born with Venus in Gemini. So, and it's conjunct Jupiter. So you have like an abundance of love energy. But it's more of a, is it more of a connecting? You have the ability to connect with a lot of people, or do you grow bored in relationships? Or are you looking for something that's more
In-
stable? Yeah.
Internally I'm thinking, well, where is this in my life? Because like it's not like I have a lot of people coming down my door,
Mhm.
at all.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I sense it's easy for me to make new connections with people in general.
Uh-huh.
Um, but and I'm very loving in my friendships. I have beautiful tribe, beautiful community. But when it comes to romantic connections, I don't have a whole lot of them. And it's not like I get
Mm.
bored. It's more like the ones that I make, lately the timing just hasn't worked out. They're not ready for what I'm looking for. So that's been the
Mhm.
pattern lately, just that I meet people that I feel a vibe with and they're not ready for what I'm looking for.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's been
Okay.
lately. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
at
can't
least.
say that it's like like the way you're talking, I'm like, man, they should be fucking lining up my street. And not, it's
Yeah,
not.
well, I don't know, maybe. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm just curious to know, because like you think Jupiter conjunct Venus, like abundance of love and relationships, and but maybe it's not as much of a romantic thing as it is just like the community thing, because the third house in Gemini is about like siblings and neighborhood and extended family. So maybe
I
that's where
have
the
that here.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's and like here, Encinitas is my people. We're
Yeah.
like the funnest community, and I feel very much like that. It feels very abundant, like family, like home. It's wonderful, and I'm trusting that the romance is somewhere in that as well. But like
Yes.
I would say definitely, I feel very lucky
Hmm.
to easily meet the right people. Like I said, like connecting with Luis said, those little things. So that's easy. And I feel lucky. I always meet the right people at the right time to be in the right place. And
Hmm.
I never really considered that it's luck because it's always happened for me, But when I look back, I'm like, whoa, how did I end up at this really cool spot with these really cool people? So it just kind of happens, and it's not in my control.
And so tell me about the journey. Like, so you left South Carolina back in 2013, 2014, and you
You
just
would
started.
think. No. So
Yeah.
when that went down, I was so messed up. I wanted to run away, but I realized I had to stay. So I actually stayed. My ex-husband moved far, far away. So I was able to stay in the town and like rebuild. And then
Mm-hmm.
I partnered up with a friend to help her with the yoga and meditation studio. And we had a really great time in Charleston. And then when 2020, when the pandemic hit, I
Mm.
had this dream to travel. And I figured, why not now? And
Mm-hmm.
instead of traveling the world, I traveled across the country. And I had made plans to go with a friend, but she ended up canceling last minute. So I was already on the way. And I guess the universe just wanted me to go alone. And I traveled the country for maybe a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Just all, and I knew astrocartography wise that out
Yeah.
west I'm aligned a little bit more with where I need to be. So I
Hmm.
wanted to just see how I feel on the West Coast. So I went Oregon and Arizona and different places just to see where I feel best. And then I landed here, met my dog, the carrot, who
Oh.
is a 12 and a
Oh.
half. She was 12 and a half at the time. And when I met her and I met some people from the community here, I just knew I needed to live here. So that was my journey. And I was very much guided by intuition, which I didn't have access to during my marriage. So it's really important to me to trust my intuition and to just do what she says. And that's what I did with choosing this place to live. And that was one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
So you met your dog when your dog was 12 years old?
Yep, 12 and a half. Yeah.
Wow. Oh. Oh.
Sure.
So how old is your dog now? Like
15.
15? And how did you meet your dog?
Well, the one friend that I had in Encinitas, she was dog sitting her for another friend that was looking for a new owner for her. And I
Mm-hmm.
love dogs. And the weird thing on my nomadic journey, there was always a dog wherever I went. And I never had a dog really. Um, and then I volunteered to help her out with the dog sitting. And she came running across the street with her smiley, stupid face. I
Hmm.
was like, shit, I guess I'm in love. And then
Hmm.
I messaged the owner. I'm like, I'll take her. And it
Hmm.
made no sense. The people that I rented from wanted $400 a month for dog fee. On
Oh,
top of
wow.
the rent that I was paying in South Carolina was half as much as in California. So it
Wow.
was a huge quantum leap for me. Like my
Yeah.
subconscious, I did a lot of reprogramming to believe in myself that I can make this work.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was another test. And I was like, I'll make this work. And so she's
Uh-huh.
been the best thing, the best thing. She's gets me out of the house because I'm so introverted.
Uh-huh.
So she gets me out of the house and she's magical. And yeah, she's amazing.
How did you take that leap, doubling your rent
Well,
and
so I believe that everything is consciousness, right?
uh-huh.
So my wealth consciousness was formed like everybody else wealth consciousness in the first 7 to 14 years. And
Uh-huh.
we went through a really interesting time when I was a kid. We were super poor, and then my dad became successful as a pharmacist. So we started
Hmm.
basically living on Salvation Army clothes, and then my dad became successful. So in my head, I had just as much scarcity as I also had wealth. So I had to,
Uh-huh.
when I moved here, change my programming that I can afford living here easily, that I'm capable of creating it, that I'm worthy of it, that it's safe for me to. So I did a lot of reprogramming of my
Uh-huh.
childhood. Like we just, my beliefs were conflicting. I
Yes.
also believed that wealthy people were assholes. And
Hmm.
that, so I needed to retrain my brain and my consciousness and really shift it to believe that money is a beautiful source of energy
Hmm.
and that just really up level. And then once I got here, I also had to hold my boundaries to how much I charge. I would in
Hmm.
the past, my self worth shit would even creep in to how I show up financially, and I would undercharge or make deals or give friends a deal, whatever. I stopped all
Hmm.
of that, and I was like, I need to just step it up and show up as a professional. And that's what happened when I came to California because I had to. And because of her, I needed to. They had a reason to do it. I always got
Hmm.
by and I was okay. And I was more interested in helping people than like the financial side. But then I was like, okay, I need to be an adult here and create this for her.
So it sounds like you were aware of where your blocks were, and then you became consciously aware on of what you needed to do to change those blocks or to restructure them or to tear them down, and then through that conscious awareness you reinforced that conscious awareness through action in reality with
Yes, and yes, but no.
uh,
So with Psych-K, and this is hard to explain it, when you become aware of a limiting belief, you can create a new belief and then immediately reprogramming it. And then afterwards, it frees up all the energy to take new action. You
uh-huh,
don't have to reinforce and grind hard, it just happens.
right.
So it's kind of like what you're describing, just a little faster without having to like reinforce every day. So
Mm-hmm.
you literally can change your belief within seconds to minutes with Psyche.
Hmm.
And so from 1 second, I didn't believe I can afford it. I was terrified. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And then I can take action.
Yeah.
So it's like a literal, like you just help your subconscious to upload and then you can show up totally different. And then I
Mm-hmm.
showed up different, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. That's
It's
amazing.
so awesome. It
Yes.
doesn't always, like, I wish it was like that clear with relationships, but like there's other people involved, right? So with money, it's actually quite easy. Money is truly consciousness. It's all about
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. So, and being able to receive. So that's what I changed there. And I'm so grateful because I love California. It feels so good to be here.
So you mentioned astrocartography, and I just looked up your astrocartography, and it's I mean, California, there's Mercury that's moving through California, which indicates and it's over the midheaven, which indicates like this could be a beneficial place for work and work connections, or connections that are going to help you achieve your goals and ambitions. On the East Coast, though, you know, well, it's a mix. Like, right through South Carolina goes Venus and Jupiter, so that's really positive. But just east of there, uh, is Pluto and the North Node. So I don't know. It's just interesting because it doesn't seem as simple as like I would want it to be, because like I'm like, wow, Venus and Jupiter go right through North Carolina, just off the coast of South Carolina. That should maybe be a good place for you to experience relationships, but it clearly, brought challenges. So I don't know. It's interesting. What do you remember hearing about your when you looked up your astrocartography that made you, believe that California would be the place to go?
Honestly, I don't even remember. I think that overall it was like west coast of America and west coast of Europe that was idea, and the Pluto thing to me felt like just a lot of shadow work in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like it was hard, and even my face looked different when I came on the west coast. There's something here physically.
Uh huh.
I and because I feel that my love and my profession is intertwined. My desire is to co-create with my partner. My
Yes.
desire is to do something with my partner, mission oriented. So I think coming here and knowing that there's so much that I can do professionally here is really appealing because I want to co-create with my man. That's just
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just go to work and him go to work and then how was your day? No, I want to
Yeah.
fucking do this together. So
Yeah.
to me, my mission is like my greatest drive in life. Um, and probably that feels what's better here. And the relationships just feel more authentic. I don't know what it is, but it just feels
Well,
easy for me here to be me.
yeah. No, it's interesting too because like what you're talking, like when I hear you, it sounds like you're talking about like the power couple type of thing, where it's like you're with your man and like you're creating something and you're achieving something together. That's what you're looking for. Yeah.
Not necessarily. Like, I think that I really want to redefine how love and relationships is done in a
Uh-huh.
monogamous, conscious way. I think that power couple infers that to me infers that it's about us. No, it's just about what we're creating and the fun we're having. And
Uh-huh.
I just want to have a lot and a lot of meaningful fun with my person. And to me, helping other people is fun. So,
Uh-huh.
whatever we're going to do, I don't necessarily need to be part of a power couple, but when I'm out and about, I need someone that is not intimidated and doesn't try to overpower me, and just can like really hang with the way that I
Mm.
show up in community, and it's just really comfortable and anchoring there. And I also need someone that's not leaking around sexually in the community, because that's a wounding for me. And in order for
Mhm.
me to soar and spread my wings with all the stuff that I want to do, I just want that part of my life to be solid. Like it's either
Mhm.
that or I'm going to become a nun, but there's
Mm.
nothing in between for me, you know?
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
experimented and I've tried, and I'm like, nope, I'm definitely this person that needs someone that's like as devoted as I am to the monogamous, conscious, committed thing, and build from there and really show up fully transparent. And that gives me wings. And when friends
Mm.
are showing up in my friendships like that, I feel unstoppable.
Mm. Well, just off the coast of California is Saturn,
Hmm.
for your astrocartography, and so like you're in between Mercury and Saturn, so like connection, but also responsibility and commitment. Your Saturn is your natal Saturn aligns with your ascendant descendant and your north node. So you this indicates why you're looking for like commitment and stability, and somebody who is going to support you on your journey. You'll support them on their journey. Your eighth house, the house of death, is in Scorpio, and that is, deep. You don't like that, but that's that deep commitment of intimacy,
Yeah,
where you can truly be like that's what you're looking for. I think that's what I'm
yes,
hearing in
totally.
relationship, is somebody that you can, totally be vulnerable with. You can release your sphincter around. You feel safe with them, but because they're gonna they're gonna
That's it. Must feel a release sphincter around you.
you're going to be able to relax around this
Yes,
person, and
yes,
because they're going to protect you just like you would
yes.
protect them, and that's why you can be vulnerable around each other.
Totally.
Yes.
There's nothing sexier to me than deep self awareness and then sharing that honestly with someone else. Full
Mm.
responsibility and deep self awareness. I find that so yummy in all my relationships. And it took a
Mhm.
lot of trial and error and obviously like painful experiences for me to get to the point that I can show up that way. So that's
Mm.
kind of like what I want.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so I want to hear more about like the journey that you went. So you in 2020 during COVID is when you went on the road and you just traveled west.
Yeah.
And where did you stop along the way?
So, first of all, that was the scariest thing I probably ever did. Like
Mm.
immigrating to America, I was 23 and had no like choice consequence awareness,
Mhm.
you know? Like, but traveling across country like on purpose by yourself as a woman in your 40s, it was like crazy, it felt a little crazy. And I never knew where I was going to go next or how. The only thing that I knew is that I had my clients. I moved my praxis virtually 100% in 2020, so I was seeing clients virtually all day long, and that gave me an anchor. So I knew every day I'm going to work. I just didn't
Mhm.
know from where, which
Mhm.
bed office am I going to be in, which Airbnb am I going to be in. So I started um, just to feel into myself and to just listen to little pings. And then I had some friends that were very intuitive, giving me some guidance. I started in Arizona. I spent some time in Phoenix and Scottsdale, and that's where I was waiting for my friend that was originally going to join me. And I was waiting and waiting and
So
waiting.
you
And when
flew there from South Carolina? You drove, you didn't stop anywhere in between?
Oh yeah, so I drove from Charleston to Atlanta
Okay.
and visited friends, and then I was going to travel from Atlanta to Texas, do a big drive, and there
Uh-huh.
was a snowstorm, so I got stranded in Atlanta for a couple of days, and it was
Okay.
really cool because the creator always puts you exactly where you need to be. So I
Hmm.
got to spend time with friends that I love so much, and I got to just be with them. And when you are with friends, you get to like hold space in ways. So it was really important that I was there. Their dog passed away shortly after. There was something really important to be there during that snowstorm. So once the snowstorm settled, I was able to drive across country from Atlanta to Fort Worth, Texas, to meet up with my ex-boyfriend, and we're best friends. And I visited him in Fort
And this
Worth.
was somebody post your marriage, or
Yes,
okay,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
This was my healthy longest relationship post my marriage, and
Mhm.
we're still best friends.
Mhm.
Um, and I visited him in Fort Worth, and then from there I went to New Mexico, met up with another friend, and then out of the sudden I had no more plans. That was like the plan. So then I was like, shit, where do I go next? And I always wanted to check out San Diego.
Mhm.
So I booked an Airbnb in San
What was
Diego.
it about San Diego? What excited you about that?
For many, like for decades, I've heard it's always sunny in San Diego and beautiful. There was a part in the back of my head that knew I wanted to be in San Diego, and I was always too afraid and too insecure. I
Mm.
had always thought, if I come to San Diego, there's so many beautiful people, I'll die of insecurity, basically. Like, like
Mm.
I'll just not be able to feel good. Like there was so much insecurity in me. So I never really even visited or checked it out. So I was
But
really
you were intrigued by it, but you were also, like, terrified of
Yeah, and
going
for
there.
like the last 20 years since living in America, I kind of always wanted to live in San Diego.
Like, you had
So,
just, like, seen pictures or
yeah,
something, or
and
yeah.
like the culture, like the movies and hip hop and whatever, I was like, "Ooh, that California looks dope."
Mhm.
Um, and I got to San Diego to an Airbnb. I don't even remember the neighborhood, but I hated it. And
Oh.
I remember beelining out of there within 24 hours, not even getting a refund for my Airbnb, and just going to Ojai instead.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was with a friend that had met up. Once you get live nomadic, it's so cool what happens. Out of the sudden, people come out of the woodworks. Hey, I'm living nomadic, want to meet up. Hey, do you want to meet here? Do you want to meet here? And people that live nomadic, that's how we live. You're like, oh,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna be in Bali at that time? I'll pop over. Or you're gonna be in Mallorca? Let's pop. So like I started to, after almost 20 years of living in one place, I was like, what the fuck have I been doing my whole life? This is what I just need to like, go and do. It was so
Uh-huh.
awesome. And my inner 5-year-old Aries, I was like, adventure. It
Yeah.
was so awesome. But it also put me face to face with every single fear you can imagine. Just
Tell
I'm the
me, what were some of these fears?
well, fucking being out in the middle of nowhere by yourself as a woman with that,
Mm.
just like I ran out of gas in Oregon twice. My phone wasn't working. I was in the middle of nowhere, never ran out of gas. And I was like,
Mm.
fuck, phone wasn't
What
working.
happened?
Well, I pulled somebody over. I called the police. It took like 2.5 hours for somebody, and I paid $275 for 5 gallons of gas.
Oh my
But
god.
like what I learned is everything always works out. The creator always
Mm.
has your back. Nothing bad happened. It's just that there's also loneliness, right? There's just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, nobody out on the road that you know. So it's just like, you have to connect, you have to be vulnerable, you have to be authentic. So I pushed myself way out of my comfort zone on that journey. And by the time I got to California, I was a little banged up from that journey. Like, it was
Mm.
a lot. I just went head first, had a lot of experiences with a lot of different people, but also worked a lot. Worked a
Mm.
lot. It just helped and supported, because during that time, what anchored me was coaching other people. And I learned so much about myself that by the time I came to California, I had to just take a pause. So for the last 3 years, I've been building community here and friendships. And then recently, I stepped out again professionally a little bit more in community. But it's been a really profound what is it now? 4 years? Like, it's been
And when did you move to Encinitas?
3 years ago.
3 years. So you
Yeah,
were basically, like, living the nomadic lifestyle for
a year
2,
and a
3
half.
years?
A year and a
How
half. Yeah.
a year and a
Mhm.
half?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Mm.
honestly, if it wasn't for my dog, I love you so much, babe. I probably would still do it, and I don't think it would be good for me. So like I know it was really good for me to land here, and to be
Mm.
forced to financially like get organized and
Mhm.
like, some people are so good at the left brain business stuff. I'm really good at the right brain, like helping people out of the most fucked up situation. If you're suicidal, call me. Like I can do that. That's the stuff I can
Mm,
hang. If you have war trauma, like I have no problem. But the business part, that's just not my forte. That's where I always hired help. But coming here also forced me to grow up a little bit,
mm,
and to get my
mhm,
shit a little straighter. So I don't know if I ever go back to nomadic living in that capacity, but I'm so happy I did it because
mm,
that lifestyle was really amazing and it taught me that I can do anything.
mm. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And while you were doing that, so it's like during this period is when you were also working and doing the Psych-K.
Yes.
And is that when you founded the subconscious and somatic integration?
Yes, I founded that in 2020.
Uh-huh.
So I am assuming you being a projector that you also experienced the pandemic as like, oh, something really magical, right?
Yeah, it was
So for
totally.
me,
Yeah.
those 10 weeks of no human contact was heaven. Not
Yeah.
because I don't like humans or there's anything bad about it. I just never experienced my own energy that powerfully. And so I had very profound clarity during that time, like anybody has if you go to a silent retreat or you take this space. So that's why space is so important. Um, and I realized that every single tool that I have studied really makes perfect sense together, and that it's the somatic and the subconscious that need to be integrated for people. I used to call it subconscious and somatic integrative therapy, but here in California, you can't just call something a therapy unless you are actually a talk therapist, which I am not, and I prefer not to be. So I call it subconscious and somatic integration. I'm super proud of it.
Mm,
And it's basically the idea that when we're making changes in our subconscious and regulate our nervous system and fully feel our feelings, that our intuition comes online and our
mm,
gifts come online. And what do we most want? We want peace and we want to share our gifts. So
mm,
I feel as though this process of working with your subconscious, regulating your nervous system, and fully learning to feel and express your feelings helps you to be at your most intuitive gifted self. And that's what I want for me and what I want to help other people with. And the steps there is a lot of nervous system care. So this is where we talk about, I call it bliss discipline, taking care of
mm,
yourself, working out, eating, meditation, breath work, cold plunges, all those wonderful things, finding a lifestyle that really supports you, feeling your feelings. What are you avoiding? Are you avoiding feeling pleasure? Are you avoiding anger? Are you avoiding fear? Diving into that, really learning how to actually feel that. And then also reprogramming. The reprogramming piece is missing for a lot of people. They do
mm,
maybe the self-care, they maybe do the feeling work, maybe they do the talk therapy, but the actual change process is missing. So I like to click all that together, and then people really come online, like I
mm.
came online. So that's what I call subconscious and somatic integration. I'm very passionate about it.
Yes, I see it. Like you like sat forward and you're
I
like
know. Well,
I love
sometimes
it.
I've learned to hold this back a little bit because here in California, everybody is doing really, really great things.
Uh-huh.
And so, like my entire group of friends, or if I go on a walk in Encinitas, people, so what are you doing? We're all kind of doing stuff in this field. So I stopped talking about it much.
Hmm.
And I just rather show up as, hey, it's just me,
Hmm.
how are you? Versus like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I do. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I do get really excited about it. And in human design, actually, so those are the first four pillars: subconscious work, nervous system care, really feeling your feelings, and then your intuition. And then the fifth pillar to me is human design and astrology, your
Hmm.
energetics. So the fifth pillar
Hmm.
is energetics, really understanding yourself and understanding your destiny and understanding your gifts. Because so many people, when they are coming with trauma, they are just trying to survive. They don't even see that the trauma are their portals to their gift. And what I love about astrology and human design, it gives me a big of a like a blueprint, like, hey, these aren't actually pathologies about yourself. Your soul signed up for this curriculum. Your soul
Mhm.
signed up for, like, for me, knowing my astrology, everything you're telling me, I'm like, yeah, I signed up for this on some level. So I could learn this, so I could experiment with it, gather wisdom, and help others. That
Mm.
that helps me. That's a belief system that support me. Whether or not it's true or not, I don't care. Every belief is a limitation,
Mm.
and so this is something I choose that works for me. So I like to offer it for other people. The sixth pillar would be plant medicine if people want to do
Hmm.
that. I don't facilitate it and I don't do much of it, but I have seen profound changes for people and think it's a magical tool. So that's the sixth pillar. The seventh pillar is community.
Hmm.
Community is really,
So
really
give
important.
me those pillars 1 through 7 again. What's number one?
Number one, subconscious work.
Subconscious work. Okay.
And
Two.
they're all equally important, so they're
Yeah.
not in order.
Oh,
Number
yeah.
two,
Yeah. Exactly. Two is
number
what?
two is you what?
Two is what?
Two is nervous system care.
Nervous system care.
Nervous system care. Really understanding your nervous system and know how to regulate.
Hmm.
So when your nervous system is regulated, then you can feel your feelings. So number three is actually being able to feel your feelings and express them
Hmm.
and meet your own needs. Like learn to self-parent yourself. Learn to not just regulate yourself, but also know how you feel. Hey, how are you feeling? I feel fucking pissed.
Hmm.
Learn to do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and not to make it bad or wrong or hide it, but
Hmm.
just and also not go into the story. I feel pissed because
Yeah.
no, just I feel. And
Yeah.
then the fourth one is your intuition. Really
Hmm.
understanding your intuition, how it speaks to you, and learning to trust it more than ChatGPT or everyone and their mother. You know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then the fifth pillar is understanding your energetics and understanding your gifts. And through the means of either human design, astrology, or gene keys. Those are the things I'm really passionate about that I think are fantastic. Some other people might have other resources. I think those are really great. And there's so many archetypal resources, Jungian principle. There's so many
Hmm.
archetypal resources, but something like that to help the person because everybody's looking for their life purpose at some point, help the person really understand a little bit of a path. Those are the first five pillars.
Hmm.
Six pillars, plant medicine.
Hmm.
I think for men in particular, my opinion is that men do really well with plant medicine because of more stuckness around
Yeah.
emotions and vulnerability.
You can't
Um,
you can't suppress the when the medicine takes hold. It's like sphincter's loose now.
no,
It's
that's right.
like
Yes,
nothing you can
yes,
do about that. Yeah. So
yes,
yeah.
exactly. And then the
Mhm.
seventh is community. Just you
Mm.
got to learn to practice that and be in healthy communities and build healthy communities. And with AI, my belief is that it's communities that are more important than ever.
Mm.
Sovereign individuals building interdependent communities. And
Mm.
my life purpose is all about win-win as a Libra North Node. So I have to be sovereign, love myself, and be connected and not be codependent, and then build that in my own one-on-one, and I feel as though also in the greater. So
Mhm. Yeah.
that's the seventh pillar.
Beautiful. I love that.
Right, they
Yeah.
all
No,
fit
it's
together,
awesome.
make so much sense to
Yeah.
both hemispheres, and I feel stoked about it. That's subconscious
Yeah.
somatic integration.
Mm. Wow. So when you meet with somebody, you're looking at them and the nature of those 7 pillars within themselves, within the person that you're working with. And if one of the pillars looks like it's falling apart or something, or maybe it's never been constructed, then you're helping them build that.
Yeah, mainly, like I help. The subconscious piece is the piece that I specialize and focus on the most, because that's what people are not able to do alone unless they get trained in some sort of modality. And also the thing is, working with somebody, the subconscious is all about making the unconscious conscious. That's pretty
Mhm.
difficult on your own. Like I work with myself a lot, and I have so many blind spots that I need my friends or other people to help me see, or even through our conversation. I'm like, oh, noted. I'm gonna just look at that later,
Mm.
and just
Yeah.
kind of certain things that I don't see. So I focus heavily on the subconscious part with people. But in general, if you follow me on Instagram or whatever, I try to really educate, inspire, inform, give tools, give resources about all the other stuff, because to me, those seven other pillars can be done pretty much on your own. Like you can learn how to do your nervous system regulation. You can learn how to do all this. This is stuff you can teach yourself. You can learn through resources. This is something that's irreplaceable.
Hmm. So when you're doing the unconscious work or the subconscious work with your clients? Are you like asking them questions and you're just talking to them, and through the conversations you're starting to see little ticks or blocks that they may have through the way that they're wording certain
Yeah.
things? Or
Yeah, my job is to listen. I listen to their limitations, and you
mm,
know it. You listen all the time. People will tell you their limitations, and
yeah,
then you're like, okay, that's a limiting belief. That's a
yeah,
limiting belief.
yeah,
That's a so. And
yeah,
then I write them down. I'm like, okay, is that really true? And then they,
mm,
oh, actually it isn't. Then, well, what do you want to believe instead? And then we
mhm,
do the reprogramming. Or
mm,
I work a lot with trauma. Like I specialize in trauma, big T, little t, all the T's, trauma, because that was my journey.
mm,
And with Psych-K, you can close the loop on a trauma. So, in a very layman way. So if something happens that's emotionally charged, that keeps looping.
mhm,
And then even if it's 50 years ago, that loop's still open. So anything
mm,
that's associated with what happened, that could be a smell, a sound, even the way the air braces your shoulder, you might trigger that same feeling and the same reaction. And so with Psyche, you can close that completely within minutes. So I love focusing with people on closing trauma loops. And then usually it's not just the emotional charge that happened or what happened for the person, but also the beliefs that formed. So, for example, let's say you got bullied when you were little, and it wasn't just that you were deeply embarrassed and ashamed and frustrated, and that in that moment it was really painful. It also that then the belief forms I can't trust people, or I'm not safe to be myself, or I have to put on a mask. So I love then also helping people see that all of those beliefs are not true and reprogram them.
and does that happen over time? Or are you meeting with people several sessions, or is it one session, or how does it
It
work?
depends. My
Yeah.
preference and what I usually do is work with people over the course of a couple months, just
Mhm.
like a regular therapist would. So this isn't, I have sometimes people that have read about Psyche from Dr. Bruce Lipton, who speaks about it a lot, and or has seen some testimony of like great miraculous changes, and they do happen. I've had crazy ass shit happen for myself and clients where in one set just crazy stuff, you know.
Mm,
However, most of us are layers, you know, it's lots of layers of stuff. So, usually,
mm,
just like any other therapeutic approach, I work with people over time. And so, in session, you free your mind and then
mhm.
you can take new action. And then something else will pop up. And we work through that. And so, until you reach your desired goal, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that is powerful.
It's so
It's
awesome.
yeah,
It's so self-empowering. And not everybody's ready for it because it'll also
yeah.
require you to
Work. You have to do the work.
you have to
Yeah?
do the work, and you also like you can't go back once you take responsibility. Like I look back at my life and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
shit, man, everything that I did from such an unconsciousness, like you can't go back, you know, can't go back to sleep. So
This is so I guess the word is topical for right now, just in terms of like where the planets are, because it's something that I've been talking a lot about on my podcast, where I'm just talking by myself. But it's, Saturn and Neptune are conjunct in Aries, and Neptune is the planet of the unconscious, and Saturn is the planet of responsibility, and Aries is the sign that represents the self. So I've been saying that, you have to take responsibility for yourself and the love that you deserve to show yourself, or maybe take responsibility for the love that you haven't shown yourself. And then when you think of Jupiter in Cancer, that represents the past. That's opened up a expanded the portal to the past. So do you have the courage to face your most embarrassing or cringeworthy moments of your past and take responsibility for who you were in that moment, love yourself through that moment, and with compassion and empathy for what you were going through at that time, and really appreciation for the fact that that happened and you didn't do anything wrong. It was a lesson for you to learn so that you could grow and evolve. in alignment with like what you're talking about?
Yeah, I felt, I've started to, I lived with a bunny that um, created a journal that was based on astrological. She was very much into astrology, and I met her while I was going through divorce. And ever since, I've been also studying kind of like transits and what's coming up and the age of Aquarius and 2027 when a new paradigm is starting. So I've had my eye on it, and I always wondered what's my role in this? Like, and teaching people how to be sovereign and coming out of codependency and out of self-abandonment has been my life's work for me.
Mm,
So I knew that this is the time where people are going to struggle. And we're right now probably in the most strugglesome time.
mm,
And so everything that I've learned, it's really kicking in and it's really helpful to people right now. And I'm really stoked because I
mm,
think there's nothing more important right now than being sovereign
mm,
and doing relationships from that place. And relationships with everything, with money, with your work, like everything is a relationship. So it always starts with here, our relationship to ourselves and where we are with that. So I feel like extremely motivated at this moment
mm,
to share this work more those than before. I always kind of had this feeling that this is the time where it's going to kick in around this time. I think 2027 even more so, but we're leading up to that.
mm-hmm.
I
What
don't
does
know
that
anything.
mean? What's that?
It's just a feeling. I don't know
Yeah,
anything, but it's just a feeling.
yeah. What does that mean to be sovereign with relationships and money? I mean, sovereign is such a Leo word because Leo's the king. So, what does that
Well,
mean to you?
to me, it means that what the sages always say, that all you need is within.
Hmm.
That you have everything you need inside of yourself, the wisdom, the answers, the love, the everything. And that our sovereignty in relationships means that everyone is free to make their own decisions and is responsible for themselves. And then we share life together in a conscious, responsible, empowered, sovereign way. That's what that means. Like, I love the idea of codependency in this ride or die, romantic, enmeshed. It's so glorified. But
Mm,
I'm energetically whole as a 6'3" splenic, single definition manifester. And I
mm,
do love in a little bit different way. Like, I
mhm,
choose to be committed. It's not like a need where I need, like I need someone else's energy to complete me. I'm literally sovereign inside of myself, and I want to bond with you. I want to commit to you, or a mission or something, a relationship. So to me, that's sovereignty. I hope that explains the difference a little bit. I'm not that
yeah,
great
well,
at
totally.
definition.
No, it does because I just also think about you were born with Uranus in the seventh house in Scorpio, which means that in those intimate relationships, you want independence, which is like another way for you to say, your own sovereignty, where and that's also squaring your sun as well. So it's like you are very I think that's why sovereign's such a word for you because it's like, look, I want to be whole in a relationship where I don't need anything from you, you don't need anything from me, but together we can thrive and help each other on our journeys. Is that
Yeah, and I guess I'm coming around. Like, I do need, like, I guess, like, even having needs was a little cringy as a Leo. Like, I do need, just not in the same way maybe that someone else. Like, I
well, it's
observe
not a
they're
yeah,
different.
it's not a codependent need.
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
like if the need could also be, if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, a romantic relationship with you, I need commitment
Mhm.
from you because
Yes,
that's what I deserve. That's
yes,
like coming from that sovereign place,
yes,
and
yes,
not like, please, please like me, otherwise I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. It's like, no, I'm good, solo, totally fine, totally good, thriving as a solo single person. And it's like, I'm good solo, totally thriving, living my life. I don't need anything from anyone. But if I'm going to be in relationship with somebody, then I need your respect. I need your commitment because that's what I deserve. It's not that if I don't have it and you're not in a relationship with me that I'm going to be deficient in some way. I'm still going to be thriving. That's
Yes.
how I see it.
Thank you. I totally
Yeah.
agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
That.
cool. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Um there's something else I was going to ask you about. Uh hmm. Yeah, I don't know what it was though. I lost my train of
Mm.
thought. Um Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, you've mentioned a couple times the age of Aquarius. Now, I do you feel like we're in the age of Aquarius right now? Is that what
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Cuz I feel like we're in the age of Pisces still.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I there is a lot of Aquarius energy with Pluto in Aquarius, so I think that's bringing about a greater sense of connectivity and community and independence and an incredible wave of technology with AI and how things are shifting so much in the technological realm. I mean, I feel like over the next 20 years, we're going to have experiences or, technology is going to go from like the invention of electricity to the iPhone in 20 years, But I still feel like we're in the age of Pisces. I mean,
Mm.
number one, because, it takes about 2100, 2150 years for us to move into a new sign. And I believe that the age of Pisces began with the birth of Christ,
Mm.
which, if we're going by, the calendar, that was 25 years ago. And so, uh, 2025 years ago. But like when you look at the like technology, like things, it's really hard to know what's real today. It's like you see these deep fakes where people are, might look like Morgan Freeman or Keanu Reeves. It might even sound like them, but it's also not them. And so that's a very Piscean theme where it's
Mm.
like, how do we know what is real? And I feel like that's why we need to be doing some really deep subconscious
Yeah.
work or unconscious work because we've got to all the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame that has been suppressed within our unconscious is needing to come to the surface so that we can transition into that lighter air age of Aquarius. But, until we can turn on the TV or whatever we're looking at and know that this is real and not made up in some way, then to me that feels like Pisces.
Mm.
Because that's
Interesting.
all about the illusion.
Well, you know way more about that than I do, but I totally agree with you about the like suppressed, like, that needs to happen because, you know, we only see the behavior that's coming out and judge the behavior, but what's driving a person, it's so hard to see. And so many people don't know that the person they think is an asshole is actually someone operating on a lot of trauma and the resulting shame and fear and guilt. It's, yeah, it's a really interesting time. And sometimes I get lost in like people being people. I always call it people be peopling so much today, so much
Mm,
peopling and the reactivity. But when we look in the underbelly, it's just a lot of trauma and unresolved negativity that people aren't aware of and just reacting on unconsciously. And it's getting really to the point where the consequences are quite destructive.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where it's somebody's reacting in a manner that it's like, I, overreacting in a sense where it's like there's a, it was maybe right when Neptune transited into Aries. I was telling everyone when that happens, it's going to be like pushing the dumpster of all of our psychological baggage into the middle of the road and lighting it on fire. And there was this guy in LA somewhere who was he got a quote on his car at like a CarMax, and didn't like what the quote was, so he drove his car in through the window of the dealership, ran over a couple people, put several people in the hospital. And it's like, yeah, that's a trauma
Yeah,
response.
totally.
It's not somebody didn't give you the quote that you like for your car. Uh, you're not going to react that way. That's not
That's
a,
not, yeah, that's, it has nothing to do with that. People are
yeah,
always like looking for logic in these things. Reactions aren't logical. And
exactly.
I love looking at astrology every week, every morning. I look at the astrological weather forecast to just feel into what are my people struggling with today. And it is so beautiful to always see the bigger themes that we're working with and how that's showing up in people's lives. I can tell if there's certain astrological themes coming up that I'll be very busy that month. I've been really busy. So the
Yeah.
last month have been a lot going on and I've been really busy. A lot of shit's coming up for people.
Oh yeah, and it's because Neptune transited into Aries back on March 30th. So,
Exactly.
and like when you use that word, like people, that's not a logical response.
Mhm.
Like Aquarius is a logical sign.
Mhm.
Pisces is not logical. It's the ocean, like who can make sense of that?
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on down there. Just like the unconscious. Now, what's I hear these words getting thrown around a lot. Like, what's the difference between subconscious and unconscious? Is there a difference between these words, or?
I use them kind of interchangeable, and I wondered the other day, and we probably have to ask the internet for that to get like your actual. But like, how about this? What if they're the same, but the unconscious, subconscious infers that you're semi-aware of it?
Yeah,
So,
right.
like, in order to work with your unconscious, you have to also make it conscious first. So, in Psych-K, we have to first talk a little bit about what your challenge is. And if
Hmm.
you want to know what your unconscious is programmed to, take a look around in your life. So, let's say you
Yes.
might say, money or health. And then we're like, okay, what are your beliefs there? Where are you coming from? What did your moms and dad believe? What are some traumas that are related there? So we're making the unconscious subconscious, like, subconscious still means below level of awareness, but it's a
Hmm.
little bit more conscious than unconscious, right? So
Right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the difference, but
No,
I
that's
use it,
that works for
like
me. That works for me. Yeah. Totally. I love it.
going with it. But whatever, like I try to also make up new words for stuff we've talked about because it's like when you look online, there's so much noise now, and everybody is now talking about the subconscious. If
Mhm.
you go somewhere here in California, you can go to a freaking like CVS and it will say something, this will reprogram your subconscious because people finally understand the power of the subconscious. But now marketing is telling you everything is going to reprogram your subconscious. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to even like change that language a little bit.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah.
yet into what, but we definitely need to work on the underbelly of what's going on and become more aware and then also like change what we're becoming aware of.
Yes. Yes. I think that's part of Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto's the planetary ruler of Scorpio, which is secrets, what's hidden beneath the surface, and Aquarius is the open sign. So
Yes.
it's like bringing what exists that we can't see into our conscious reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So fun.
Mm, mm. Well, how can people find you and work with you? Like, how does that go? How do you do that? If somebody's listening right now and they're like, "Wow, I love Ellie. I love what she's saying." Like, how can they connect with you and work with
Totally
you?
secret. You have to say the secret passcode and rock your you can go on my website, ellirichter.com, and book a free consultation. I usually like to meet first to see if we vibe.
Uh-huh.
And Instagram. Like I of all the platforms, that's probably the one I'm currently using the most.
Mhm.
Um, and then usually just make an appointment or shoot me a
Yeah.
message. Yeah.
Yeah. And what like final words of wisdom that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I mean, I feel like this was so much about astrology and me that I don't even know if I have any wisdom. I'm grateful to you. I feel so seen, and which is, I guess, like
Mm,
the beautiful thing about astrology. It gives a way for people to fall in love with each other, understand each other deeply, know how to support each other. I think if there's any final words of wisdom, generally speaking, it would be to maybe get curious about your beliefs, and that there's a difference between your thoughts and your beliefs. I think that people don't understand that. And
What is that? Can you explain that further?
yeah, so like yesterday, I was sitting with a friend of mine, and he thinks he's done with his divorce. Like, he thinks in his conscious
Uh-huh.
mind, I moved on. But
Yeah.
in his life, anything but moving on is showing up. So I was trying to help him realize that his beliefs are different than his thoughts. So if you
Mm.
think of the iceberg image that's often used to put this point, like below surface, like Piscean, like in the water, that's where
Mhm.
all your beliefs are. And they can be very, very, very negative, limiting, conflicting, self-hating, scarcity, fear, whatever.
Mhm.
But our thoughts on top of that we're consciously choosing to think, they might be very positive or very
Mm.
much like knowing the truth.
Yeah.
And thoughts and beliefs can very much be totally pulling in opposite directions. So the hardest thing in my work is to help people understand you have to be open and curious. What you think and what you believe may be two very different things.
Mm.
And this is my hardest thing. I don't want to put men on the spot, but men
Yeah.
typically argue the hardest about their limitations. They're like, no, I don't believe, no, I'm good. I'm good. But really, like, their subconscious, like, no, you're not, bro. And so, like,
Uh-huh.
helping you to understand that our thoughts can be different from our beliefs. The beliefs are thoughts that we keep thinking and accepting as truth. For
Mm.
example, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. I should be further along. I should be doing this differently. Those are beliefs.
Mm.
Thoughts would be like, well, even though I'm not doing enough, I did this and this good, so therefore I'm okay. Thoughts are logical, A plus B equals C or whatever. Beliefs are very different. They're imprinted since in utero, and they're not necessarily the same. So I guess final words of wisdom: be open and curious so
Mm.
that you can actually listen to what's behind your thoughts. That little back talk, that little negative
Mhm.
voice,
Mm.
it's not who you are. It's just programming.
Mm.
These little fears, the not good enough, the lacky stuff, that's programming. And that programming can actually be changed. It's like a tape running on repeat. It can be changed, and you don't have to live with it. You don't have to call it intrusive thoughts and medicate yourself. You can actually change that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it possible that your what you're thinking, like you think of the iceberg, right? So is it possible that that little bit that's above the water is like negative self-talk, but the beneath the water is actually positive? Like
Ha!
somebody
I
who's
love that
like
question. Totally, totally, totally possible. Likely, okay, so 95 to 99% of our reality and how we feel day in and day
uh-huh.
out on our emotions are driven by the subconscious.
Yeah.
95 to 99% are driven by the subconscious. So most of what we feel below the surface has a subconscious reason.
Uh-huh.
And most people try to solve subconscious or unconscious issues with conscious work.
Hmm.
Most people try to change the unconscious with conscious work. I always say most people go to the dentist with a broken leg. They might feel a
Hmm.
little bit better because they get some attention, but the leg's still broken.
So you
You know,
can't solve unconscious issues with conscious work.
you can feel a little bit better, but it's always
Uh-huh.
going to come back out
Right.
unless you nip it.
And that's through working with directly with the subconscious.
They're working directly with the subconscious, yes. And like the therapeutic world is recognizing that. That's why EMDR is now covered by insurance. EMDR is probably the closest to a subconscious work. I personally have a lot of EMDR therapists that come to me for their own personal journey. So
Hmm.
I'm just making up a story. Psych-K is a little faster. I
Uh-huh.
personally don't want it to be covered by insurance. I don't want to deal with insurance, so I'm
Yeah.
happy that it's not. Um, but there's many, many ways to get to Rome. Truth is one, path are many. There's many ways to work with the subconscious. There's many ways to arrive where we want to, but having this understanding that it's not that you're broken or that you're innately going to have to live with this stuff forever. There's actually tools and modalities and technologies we have now that we can make positive changes to this part. And you don't have to, it's not scary either. It's actually much easier than people think. So if that's one final word of wisdom, that would be like, there's so much possible and available for you. You're powerful beyond logic, like so much.
There's help. You can do
Well,
it.
yeah, and you're powerful, and there's
Yes.
keys you can use, you know?
Mm.
Astrology being, to me, such a relief. Where and you hopefully say this, and I would imagine, but we can never, if we come into it with the subconscious program that we are a problem and need fixing and that somebody else knows what's best for us, you're going to
Mm.
also come to astrology from a codependent form. And then you're going to
Totally.
walk around with, well, I'm a Leo and this is just how I am, or I'm a Aquarian and this is just blah, blah, blah. And then we're just doing the same thing that we're doing with everything else. We turn it into a stick, into a box to fit ourselves in, and we're
Hmm.
victimizing ourselves again.
Yeah.
And that's why we all need to be sovereign.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I always tell people, like, don't be a victim to the transits, or don't be a victim to your chart. I
Yes,
mean, a fire, a fire can warm a room or it can burn down the house. The
yes,
water can nourish you or it can drown you. It's all how you're working with the energy. So
exactly.
don't look at it as like, oh, people come to me all the time and they're afraid. Like, I'm going to tell them there's something wrong with them. And I'm like, no, you're
Same here.
exactly how you're meant to be. Yes, exactly.
It's one of the biggest unconscious programs we're operating on. You know, when you think
Mm,
about what are the programs that limit us most, there's something wrong with me. I'm too much and I don't belong. I can't do it. And like this person knows what's best for me, or this person is going to expose me, all my shame. Like if they really see who I really am, they're going to hate me. So most people come to astrology or subconscious work very scared, very ashamed,
mm,
very
mhm.
afraid to be seen. And it's painful because ultimately, on the flip side, we all want to be seen, and like
Yes.
all just want to be accepted for who we are. So there's a huge element of courage coming to this because
Yeah.
most people are deeply afraid to be seen. And I remember being super afraid of any of this stuff too. So I get
Hmm.
it. Yeah.
And how were you afraid? Like, when do you remember being afraid coming to
Oh,
that?
I remember opening a book like it was similar to a Louise Hay book, and it was talking about some symptom that I was experiencing. So a metaphysical book, like where you can read what the symptom is and what your emotions behind and what that might mean in your life. And I was reading about the symptom, and it was telling me that the person I'm with, your partner, might be lying to you. It said,
Mm-hmm.
"Boop!" I closed the book and never touched it again.
Mm.
Couldn't receive it, couldn't be curious about it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of like what subconscious work, anything with self-awareness will also make you hear things you don't necessarily want to hear. Nope, nope, don't want to hear it. Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so in resistance and avoidance. I was just like, la, 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 I don't even want to
Yeah.
hear it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Head in the
scared of it.
sand.
Plus,
Right.
also, I was brought up in a very academic family where even though I was very curious about astrology, I was also making fun of it. Super left
Mm.
brain, super logical. I was making fun of yoga. I was making fun of everything I'm into. I'm into now.
Wow.
Making fun of it all. Like I'd be a hard pass. Never gonna do that. They're fucking crazy. Like
Yeah.
you weirdos. Now I am the weirdo. 100%.
Well, do you think there are, like, I don't know if this is the right term, but like spells that have been cast on society, like that are stereotypes that we create, like, oh, that person does yoga or astrology, they're crazy. Or, I hear people say all the time that, well, we're all flawed or nobody's perfect. And so we take that on because it's repeated like hypnosis over and over, that nobody's perfect, we're all flawed, astrology's crazy. And so I mean, I don't know who started saying that, and then everybody just kind of picked it up and agreed, but I don't agree with those statements.
Well, you call it flaws, I call it subconscious. You call it spells, I call it subconscious programs. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
been programmed, conditioned. to
Mm-hmm.
believe certain things. And you know what I'm noticing? For example, a very interesting person, Trump, right? He, I believe, has the same human design as I do. So, like, I'm like
Mm.
watching this with fascination, like, whoa, wow, fascinated. Um,
Yeah.
but he what's interesting when somebody is really convinced and has certainty in their opinion, it tends to become a program. So if there
Mm.
was at some point a person that had a lot of charisma and certainty just saying astrology is bullshit or
Mm-hmm.
these people, then that becomes an opinion and that becomes a program and a condition. All it takes is one person in certainty to say this is bullshit, and then people who are uncertain, looking to be saved, are like, you know what? This person that always has their shit together, they say it's bullshit, so it must be bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Opinions, biases, they know, like, they all come from a place of fear and judgment. And
Yes.
Psych-K and the work that I do is all about like dissolving the illusion of separation, dissolving the gap between us, and to help us see we all come from the same place, go to the same place. In between those places that we come from and go to, we're here to differentiate,
Mm.
where the universe
Yes.
getting to know itself, expressing itself, and then coming back home. And so I think that these opinions are just programs passed down generation to generation because of fear and
Mm-hmm.
judgment. And if we don't understand something, we are afraid of it. And that's actually
Yes.
good. So
Mm.
our nervous system is designed to keep us safe from the unknown. And there were times not too long ago that we really needed that survival skill, like judging something that we don't know as bad, dangerous. But
Mm-hmm.
now we're safer, much safer. So, but it's still in our subconscious to have this reaction to anything new, anything we don't understand, or anything that's more self-expressed and open, to be scared
Mm-hmm.
of that,
Mm.
you know?
Yes. Wow. Just
Right?
for yeah, totally. Exactly. And people kind of gravitate towards that fear because it keeps them safe, but it also prevents them from maybe living more fully in
Yes.
themselves,
And then when there's a person with a strong opinion and certainty,
like Trump.
there's, yeah, that it usually gives people that are very uncertain, lost, and scared something, like, that's why church is so popular when people are scared. Dogma is
Mm-hmm.
so popular because there's like,
Mm.
give me certainty, I need to believe in something, and so whereas, like, the more you dive into consciousness, the more you're like, well, that's true and that's true, and there's a,
Mm.
yeah, that's another way of looking at it, and there's a little less certainty, and there's a little less hard opinions, and some people struggle with that, and
Mm.
so they need that certainty. And I could also like super pull up my big dick energy and say, with certainty, I could do that and like use
Yeah.
my powers to sway people, and I've done that in small ways unconsciously, and it doesn't feel good, and I don't want to do that. But I think that's why we have so many negative and fearful belief systems too, that just keep being perpetuated because of that person just has a lot of certainty. Certainty is
Mm.
attractive,
Mm.
you know?
Just for clarification's sake, I wanted to. You mentioned Trump and his human design.
Yeah.
Uh, you're a 6-3. He's a 1-3. You're
He's
both
a
single.
manifestor, right?
He's a manifesting generator.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
So
God. It's like for a
yeah.
minute
So
there, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot
so
more sense. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
both single definition, but you're a splenic authority. He's a solar plexus
Yeah.
authority.
Oh,
So
yeah. That
you have
makes
some
so much sense.
similarities, but
I wish
yeah,
somebody would teach him that he has emotional waves and needs to sleep on his decisions. I feel
exactly.
like the impulsiveness that we're watching is like him not sleeping on his decisions at
Hmm.
all.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah.
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 Totally. Well, his North Node is in Gemini. So the more that he's curious, the better he is. The more he thinks he has the answer, the worse off he is. So, and the problem is not only is his South Node in Sagittarius, but so is his Moon. So he's like emotionally
Like,
fulfilled by having all the answers, but it doesn't serve him to think that he has all the answers.
yeah. I find it fascinating. Like, again, astrologically and human design, I think it's right on time. But that
Hmm.
doesn't help, like, in the three-dimensional world, everybody that's affected by
Yeah.
that. So, I trust the divine timing overall. And it's just super interesting to me. Um, again, emotional reactivity, looking at human design. Like I would love to apply basically subconscious and somatic integration principles here and see
Hmm.
where this could go. But yeah, that's not where my strength lies.
Hmm. Well, I love it, Ellie. It's been so fun talking with you.
So
Thank
fun
you
to talk
for,
to you.
yes, thank you for your time, your energy, for sharing your story with the audience and with me. And yeah, would love to talk to you again sometime.
I would love that, Scott. Thank you so much for everything you do. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to the Weekly Transit, interviews and conversations from an astrological lens. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog Lyman. If you're interested in being a guest on the Weekly Transit, you can email me at scott@theweeklytransit.com. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.